Hey guys, in this video, I want to walk you through how I built this responsive sidebar for my portfolio website. If I reduce the screen size, the sidebar slides off to the left of the screen and a hamburger button appears at the top of the page. When I click on this button, the sidebar slides in from the left and I can close the sidebar either by clicking on the close icon or by clicking on the backdrop. In the current setup, if we look at the layout, I have a provider inside which I'm displaying the sidebar and the main tag, and I've given a class name of flex to the body tag, which will display the sidebar and the main tag side by side. In the sidebar, I've given width for the sidebar based on different screen sizes, some shadow and background colors. To make the sidebar responsive, I want to give the sidebar position absolute and translate its full width to the left. So let's do that by adding the class name absolute and translate x full. Let's also give a z index of 30. If we go to the UI, the sidebar is now translated to the left of the screen. But if we take a look at the bigger screen size, the sidebar is still hidden. Now let's go back to the code, and for larger screens, let's translate it back to its original position. X0. Let's take a look at the UI. If we reduce the screen size, the sidebar gets translated off the screen, and if we increase the screen size, it comes back to its original position. To make the experience smooth, let's add some transform property and duration of 150 and animation of ease in out. Okay, let's check the UI. If we increase the screen size, the sidebar slides in. Okay, this looks a lot smoother. Now let's add a hamburger button to open and close the sidebar. I'm going to go to the header component, and inside the div I'll place a button with a hamburger menu. I'll give this a variant of ghost. And I want to display this only in the smaller screen size, and I'll hide this in the larger screen. So LG hidden. Let's check the UI. Okay, it's displayed at the center of the screen. I don't think I need the class name flex, so I remove these classes. Alright, this looks fine. Now we need to keep track of whether the sidebar is open or closed. So I have a context here where we can create a new state. Is sidebar open? And I'll pass in this to the provider. Is sidebar open? And in this function, I'll set the sidebar open to true. Here I'll close. Here I'll set the sidebar open to false. And to toggle the sidebar, is sidebar open priv. Okay, I'm already passing these functions to the provider, so it should be fine. Now, in the header, when I click this button, I need to open and close the sidebar. So I'll import open sidebar from the context and pass the function as a click event listener. Okay. Now let's go to the sidebar. Here, let's bring in the state from the context. Const is sidebar open from the UI context. I need to import the context, so I'll do that. And here, whenever the sidebar is open, I'll translate the sidebar to its original position. So let's check it out. When you click on the button, sidebar pops in from the left. Now we need a way to close the sidebar. So besides the name, I'll place a button with a close icon, and we'll close the sidebar when we click on that button. So let's go to the sidebar. Here above the name, I'll place a button. Button variant will be ghost LG. Okay. Instead of open sidebar, I will bring in close sidebar and pass in close sidebar. I still need to close the button tag, and here I'll place this icon, which I'll import from the React icons. Alright. Okay, I'll open the sidebar, and looks like we need to pass in a few classes to the parent. So we'll pass in class flex, items center, and gap. Let's try gap 2. Alright. This looks a bit too much, so I'll reduce it down to 1. Okay. Looks like the button has a bit of a padding, so I'll remove the padding from the button. Px, let me reduce it. Py also 0. Let's see how it looks. Okay, looks fine to me. So I'll click on the button and the sidebar closes. Alright. One last thing that we need to do is, whenever the sidebar is open, we need to place a backdrop, so if the user clicks out of the sidebar needs to close. So here I will wrap everything here with a fragment, and whenever the sidebar is open, I'll place a div which will have a class name of fix insert 0. That means this will expand from the top left to the bottom right, and I'll give this a jet index of 20. This needs to have a jet index that's lesser than the sidebar, and I'll give this a BG black and opacity of say 20. Okay, looks good. Now I also need to pass in the onClick listener to this div. So whenever I click on this, I will close the sidebar. Okay, for a nicer touch, I've added framer motion on the backdrop in my website, which makes the backdrop a bit smoother. You can check this out in the link to the repo in the description below. Alright, we now have a fully responsive sidebar. Thank you for watching the video. Hope you found it useful. Don't forget to like and share the video, and consider subscribing to the channel.